A breath of fresh air, a breath of fresh air, Andrea B.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I think Bob and I were having the same thoughts here because I'm going to talk to you about our National Park Service this evening and how important our parks are in order to improve our own mental health. So what happened this weekend? I went to Yosemite and Sequoia National Parks, and I was transformed. I've been going through a lot of stress lately as I'm about to change jobs, and I just didn't think that going to a national park this weekend was the best idea because I have a lot to do. However, one of my old college roommates called me up last week and said, "Hey, I found a really cheap flight to San Francisco from Dallas. Can I visit? I really want to see Yosemite." I thought, well, I've been trying to get her out to California since 2003 when we met. So I thought I have to jump on this opportunity, and you know what, I do need a day off from work. So I decided, let's do it, let's be spontaneous and check out these parks. Now granted, I had been to Yosemite about 8 years ago with an old boyfriend, former boyfriend, and some of my friends. And to be honest, I don't really have the best memories of the trip, but I do remember thinking it's pretty neat that there are rock climbers on El Capitan who sleep overnight. That was what amazed me. Well, this time when I went back, what amazed me was the beautiful scenery. I couldn't believe that I'd forgotten how beautiful Yosemite and Sequoia National Parks are. In fact, I have a picture of one of the famous vistas called Tunnel View. I'm going to pass this around for you to look at. But basically, from this view, you can see some of the major landmarks of Yosemite, which include El Capitan, which is the granite monolith, the entire Yosemite Valley, Half Dome, and Bridal Veil Falls. Now, in the last 5 years or so, we haven't really had much coming out of Bridal Veil Falls. There's maybe been a trickle or nothing. But it was gushing, absolutely gorgeous, gushing water, and all the waterfalls. I really could understand why it looked like a bridal veil because it was just a very long, thick, white waterfall. So we also went to the Giant Sequoias National Park. My friend told me, I hate to admit it, but I think I like this park better. I think the magical trees of the giant sequoia is something I've never seen in my life, and she was hugging almost every tree. And she's not really the tree hugger kind of person. So just being in a forest with 5 of the 10 world's largest trees is pretty magical, and it's only a couple hours from our doorstep. So I left there forgetting a lot about my stress, looking at the world with a new perspective, just realizing how insignificant my worries are, that life goes on, these trees are 3,000 years old, it doesn't matter. So I just felt a great new mental state of health, or healthy mental state after leaving the park. How many of you have visited a national park this year? Okay, 1, 2, 3. How many plan to visit a national park this year? All right, we have a couple more in here. Well, for those of you who haven't gone or aren't planning this year going, have you been to a national park or a park in the last couple of years? All right, so most of us here, for those of you who haven't, I'm going to really encourage you the most to get out to your national park. But before I go into that, I want you to think about what kind of feelings you had when you were in this park. How did you come home after that trip? Did you just feel renewed, like you were one with nature? Well, today I'm going to talk to you about the mental benefits of being in parks and why this is the year you should go to your national parks. The benefits of getting out into nature are plentiful, as you already probably know. But you can have a belonging to nature. This is where you can focus on your surroundings instead of your smartphone and just look at rock formations and visualize animals, or look at the clouds and see what kind of painting you're painting is in the sky. Then you can also bring recreation outdoors. there's natural playgrounds with different kayaking and hiking, rock climbing that you can do. This is a great way to get exercise and recreate memories or create new memories with friends and family or even yourself. Also, it's a great way to learn about science and conservation, and then just realizing this is such a beautiful location, I want to preserve it for future generations. For me, what was empowering about visiting these national parks, as I mentioned, was that I just really found an inner peace and a newfound perspective on my life, and I was no longer so troubled with my work situation. So some say that most of us live in cities today, and we spend less time outdoors compared to generations previous. So what is happening to our society? Well, various studies have shown that urban dwellers that have little access to green space or parks have higher incidence of psychological problems with more stress and lower levels of stress hormones immediately afterward. Going into parks is what really has been shown in several of these studies. So for example, a Huffington Post article that just talked about 10 ways that you can really improve your soul. The number one thing was spend time in nature. They say, because nature can have a calming effect and reminds us to slow down, take deep breaths and soak up the present moment, go for a bushwalk, run on the beach, lay in the grass, at a park, and do stretches by the water. Then they mentioned to take long walks, make time just to be silent and really be in awe of what's around you. And these are all things that you can do in a park. One study from England's University of Exeter titled Longitudinal Effects on Mental Health of a Moving to a Greener and Less Green Urban Area. Now, meanwhile, they're focusing maybe more on local parks, which you can go to as well. And this is where they say the study determined that people who moved to urban areas with more green space reported higher mental health scores. So again, meaning these people are happier just after going to a park or a green space, and they have lower levels of depression. The last study comes from a New York Times article about Stanford researchers who did a similar study trying to find out what really walking in nature does to people. So they looked at people who hadn't gone on a walk and then afterward went on a walk, so previous to walking, and they were really kind of brooding on what's going on in their life, being really negative. Then they went on a walk in nature and came back feeling so much better and had left a lot of these thoughts behind, just like what happened to me over this weekend. So the results strongly suggested that getting into natural environments could be an easy and almost immediate way to improve your mood. But of course, some questions remain, like, what is it? Is it the sounds of a bubbling creek? Is it a sunny atmosphere? Is it just seeing green leaves? There's still much to be determined on many of these studies, but overall, the conclusion is get out into nature to boost your mood and happiness, as well as you're able to get some physical exercise. So I'd just like to say that, as I've mentioned, the natural parks are a place to relax, learn, and exercise, and become healthier. So I'm encouraging you all to visit a national park this year because it's the park's 100th birthday. It's the centennial of the National Park Service, and that means that there's more engagement